up, YouTube? It's your boy Mikey Hot Takes, serving up hot takes like they're hot cakes, and we're back. Finally, we are back recording a YouTube video. I know it's been too long. People have been asking me, Mike, what's going on? You giving up on YouTube? You're not trying? You don't care about what's going on with the Mets? And of course I'm paying attention, all right? Just got a lot of other stuff going on. We moved this year, obviously, COVID and all this other stuff. So anyway, we're going to get right into it, all right? No, you don't need any of this BS. By the way, it's been a while, but hey, hit subscribe. This is the first time watching, all right? We're going to talk about the New York Mets today, all right? No beating around the bush. The New York Mets are the ugly stepsister in my fandom, all right? Don't get me wrong, I love the Mets just as much as I love the Knicks, the Giants, even Tottenham. They're all in the same tier, but it is so difficult. It is so difficult to really make excuses for the Mets any longer, all right? This is a team that going into the season, everyone was saying, there's no reason why they can't win the division. There's no reason. And up until last week, everyone was still saying, hey, they have a shot at the division. They're in first place, blah, 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 blah. If you really know baseball, and if you've watched baseball your whole life like I have, you know this team isn't good enough. You know it. This team is second to last in Major League Baseball in hitting fastballs. Second to last. All right, a fastball is supposed to be the pitch you hit when you get to the major leagues. That's supposed to be the easy thing to hit. But no, the Mets can't catch up on fastballs and square them up and get hits. A home run is like, other than Pete Alonso, nobody on this team is capable of hitting a home run. Like, it really feels like it's got to be a single or bust. With runners in scoring position, their approach is as bad as it gets in Major League Baseball. Like, if you watch the Mets every night and you see a man on third with no out or one out, you might as well live bet on FanDuel or DraftKings or one of these sites that the Mets aren't going to score a run. Like, it's a lock every time that comes up. And there's so many reasons for why this team isn't good enough. But to me, it really starts with the fact that this team needed to be rebuilt years ago. All right? And we used to blame the Wilpons and the ownership. And it's early, right? Steve Cohen, this is his first full year as Mets owner. So you got to give the guy time as an owner. But when you look at this roster, there's really nobody on this team that I wouldn't trade. And everyone's going to say, Mike, what about Jacob deGrom? He's the best pitcher of all time. First of all, he's not the best pitcher of all time. All right, I love Jacob deGrom. He's a great pitcher. Whenever he pitches, he's elite, right? Obviously, everyone knows how good he is when he pitches. Jacob deGrom is like not a used car, a classic car that you bought for hundreds of thousands of dollars just to leave in the garage and wash and clean and maintenance, but you never take it out. That's what Jacob deGrom is, because every year this guy has a little injury or nagging injury and he doesn't get to the finish line. Even last year, he won the Cy Young, he's won Cy Young. I don't care anymore, all right? He's 33 years old, he's making a ton of money, he barely pitches. Do you think the injuries are going to go down from here? The Washington Nationals just traded Max Scherzer, all right? Max Scherzer is one of the greatest pitchers in the last 20 years, all right? So if the Nationals are able to trade him, who's a World Series winner, Cy Young winner, all that jazz, then Jacob deGrom is not above anything when it's on the table here when we're talking about rebuilding the Mets. And Met fans are probably clicking this off right now. This kid's crazy. He wants to trade Jacob deGrom. I don't want to trade Jacob deGrom. All right, ideally, 4 years ago, we would have had a good enough team, or at least started to build a good enough team around him to the point where we didn't need to trade him. But this is what happens when you're mediocre and you're mediocre and you're mediocre, and you just try to put Band-Aid after Band-Aid after Band-Aid when you need surgery. I mean, this baseball team cannot get hits. You go to the game, you literally don't expect the team to get hits. And it's almost surprising when they score runs. And then you have people thinking that they have a chance of winning division. Why? Because Taijuan Walker had a good 3 months? And you think that's going to get you to the playoffs? Come on. Save it. All right? As a Met fan, I've had enough. All right? Everyone can get on Luis Rojas. He might not be the guy, whatever. The manager, once you start looking at the manager, to me, that means you think you have a good enough team to do something. Like, you can say, they should have won a couple more games. They should be in for... The winner of the NL East is the equivalent of the NFC East last year. Like, the team that makes the playoffs doesn't actually deserve to make the playoffs. The Phillies, the Braves, and the Mets all have major flaws, and I expect them to get knocked in the first round, whoever makes it. And I definitely don't think the Mets will be that team. I mean, the Braves lost a player of Ronald Acuna Jr. this year. One of the top 5 players in baseball at the very least. And they're in first place. The Mets lost Francisco Lindor for 2 weeks. They've lost their entire team. I mean, what has gone well this year for the Mets? Besides the fact that they're not dead last behind the Miami Marlins, which honestly I wouldn't rule out any other year. But it's just like, oh my goodness. Year after year after year, this team doesn't improve. And let me get started on Michael Conforto, who everyone before the season started telling me, oh, we don't need Springer. We're going to sign Lindor and extend Conforto in the offseason. Really, how's that working for you now? You want to extend Conforto now? You want to give him a 1-year, $5 million deal? I'd rather have Billy McKinney for peanuts than Conforto on an extension. I really would. I mean, the guy's hitting .215 and people are telling me he's getting hot. He has 3 hits in a week and everyone starts saying he gets hot. I mean, it's a joke. I've had enough of Conforto. He's been bang average as long as he's been a Met, and he never puts together a full season. So that's it on him. McNeil, I would get rid of as well. I mean, the guy, unless Jeff McNeil is hitting .340 like he was early in his career, he's really not useful enough to be like an everyday player on a great team. I mean, if he's your 8 hitter, maybe you can get away with it, but the Mets actually rely on this guy. Conforto, McNeil, Dom Smith even hasn't been as good as I'd expected. I mean, these guys aren't even hitting for average. You would sacrifice the power department if they were hitting 300. None of these guys are touching 300, and none of them are hitting 20 home runs outside of Alonso. It's actually anemic. It's the definition of an anemic offense. Then you look at the pitching staff, which another guy gets hurt every other day. All right, and that's been the case as long as we've been Met fans. So really, what is there positive to think about as a Met fan right now? Besides the fact that the Wilpons aren't our owner still, like that's all we have to hang our hat on. There's nothing going on with the New York Mets that make me happy. I would actually rather watch a rerun of the Golden Girls some nights than the Mets in the 3rd inning. Like it's a joke. Like it's so bad, and they need to figure it out. And in my opinion, a whole rebuild is needed. I know Met fans will be like, oh, you're stupid. You're trying to trade away all of our good players. We've had Jacob deGrom since he came into the league. How many playoff wins does he have since 2015? And I know it's like, oh, it's not his fault. Yeah, but he's 33 now. So you're going to wait till he's 37 when we have a good enough team to... No, get him out now while you get to get top dollar and get a bunch of top prospects in here, because guess what? The Mets minor league system is as bad as I can remember too. So it's like there's so many things to not be excited about if you're Mets. They have, 2 good prospects, I think, in Mauricio and Alvarez. Other than that, please comment below. Explain to me where I'm wrong. Explain to me what you think needs to be done other than rebuilding and blowing the whole thing up. Like outside of Lindor and Alonso, I don't know one play. Obviously, I would want to keep DeGrom if we had a good team, but just it's not the case. And you can't just turn around and say, "Oh, we could get better in free agency." Do you really think that's going to happen? Last year, they went after about 5 guys. They went after Real Muto, Springer, Brad Hand. They traded for Lindor, obviously. They came up with almost nobody. They signed Taijuan Walker, which was a good signing. I'll give them that. And they signed, and they traded for Francisco Lindor. I mean, it's not like this is a newly revamped team from last year that also didn't make the playoffs. This is the same mediocre cast of characters we've seen the last 3 years now. Either they're not good enough defensively, or they can't hit for power, or they can't hit in the clutch, or they can't hit lefties. This entire team is full of ball players that are flawed. You can have 1 or 2 or 3 guys in your lineup that are flawed, but you can't. If you want to make the playoffs, you can't have 8 guys who are flawed. And if you watch the Mets every night, almost every hitter has a problem and you can get out in a key spot. Like, let's be honest. You watch the Dodgers series this weekend. The Dodgers won 3. All right, the Dodgers are the best team in baseball. You don't want to compare to them. Fine. Can we be at least half as good as them? Can we get to half that level? And then you're going to tell me, oh, I love Pete Alonso. Oh, he's the polar bear. He's hitting .250. He's not even in the top 5 in home runs. So really, how good is he? Is he like a right-handed Adam Dunn? Is that with less on base? Like, I don't even know what this guy is. He's not, it's so frustrating, this baseball team. Clearly, I'm getting worked up. I think I'm working up a sweat, which isn't very hard for me in general, but oh my God. Like, please comment below what you would do to fix the Mets. I don't really know where to go from here. I think like I said, I want to blow this whole team up. And that may just be reactive because they just got swept. But they're 59-58. They're 2.5 games out of the worst division in baseball. So even if they get to the playoffs, you're not going to be able to coax me into, oh, they made the playoffs this year. They made the playoffs by default. The rest of the division is trash. And the fact that they're in 3rd place in this trash division should tell you all you need to know. They're 1 game out of 500 in the middle of August. So anybody on this team is expendable, in my opinion. Not one player is, oh, I need to keep him. He's a star. He's a star of the future. DeGrom is 33. He's the only great player on the team. And you'd have to imagine the injuries are only going to start getting worse from him if he continues to throw 125 miles per hour. All right, so let's just, as Met fans, let's try to, focus on next year, because I don't want to hear, don't talk me into this next month. Please don't talk me into this next month. Oh, the Mets are going to make the playoffs. You got to believe. Yeah, okay, I'll be excited if they actually, win some games in a row and make it look good. But at the end of the day, they're not getting anything done in the playoffs. Anything at all. So we really got to start looking at rebuilding. I would get rid of Conforto. I would get rid of McNeil. Get Javi Baez, the trade. Like, I don't even know if I want to bring him back, to be honest with you. He strikes out so much. Obviously, he's a talented player. He's good in the field. Him and Lindor could be an electrifying middle infield. But it's just like, do we really want to take a risk on Javi Baez? I feel like that's the type of guy that you could set your franchise back a couple of years. I mean, we're already worried about Lindor in year one. He hasn't been amazing. He obviously hasn't had a great year with the bat. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. Subscribe. Your boy Mikey Hot Takes is back. We're going to come back with a Knicks video later. Obviously, a lot more excitement in there and a lot more happiness that team is bringing me right now, which I can't believe. If you told me 2 years ago that the Knicks would be my, the happiest I am about all my favorite teams, I would tell you you're lying and you're having a laugh. But here we are. The Knicks are clearly, my favorite team that's doing well right now. So subscribe, follow, all that good jazz. I'll leave my Twitter in the description and I'll leave my Twitter in the video so you guys can follow me. And until next time, peace.